On the 8th, the registrar already had our scheduling notes. But can you believe it? The Attorney General, President Museveni, and the NRM had ignored his directives. There were no scheduling notes. Quietly mumbled, "What are scheduling notes?" What are scheduling notes? The Attorney General doesn't know either. I tell you, I have written a book, you must get a copy of it. It's called In the Pearl of Africa, that is Uganda. The unexpected happens. So all of us in court, including lawyers who had come for that other business, we all laughed. But the registrar is very kind. He didn't hold us in contempt of court. So when we sat down in the court to consider the scheduling notes, suddenly the younger man quietly produced his own notes from that, which he claimed they are from the Attorney General, and he said, "Do you think these will do?" That is speaking on behalf of Uganda government. I said, "They look okay to me. Do you mind if I serve you now?" I said, "I don't mind." He passed the copy to me. So when he went to scheduling, the land registrar had not seen them. So I am the one who said the Attorney General has now sent in his papers of scheduling, and I have read them, so we can proceed now. So on my invitation, we proceeded to consider the notes for scheduling the case. After I looked at them, it was about 3 or 4 pages. The Attorney General had listed only 3 issues to be decided as pertinent issues. One was that Mr. Buhaburwa, the chairman of the NRM, was not liable in law because he was immune. That as long as he's the president, nobody can sue him. That was number 1. Number 2 was that the petitioners, that's us, had not raised any tribal issue because the respondents had not violated or infringed any constitutionally guaranteed right in our constitution. And thirdly, that the second, that's President Museveni, and the NRM third respondent were not liable. Those 3, I answered them there at the scheduling office. I said, if you think Museveni as president cannot be sued in a court of law, look at all the presidential petition results. Chiza Besigye and later Mbabazi were suing the winner, President Museveni, who remains president of the Republic of Uganda during the elections. It's only when he's declared loser that he ceases to be president. Therefore, these people they don't know the law. I cited them the first petition result, 2001, which is also invalid for a different reason. When the Supreme Court had it, there were only 5 judges. The Constitution demands that the minimum should be 7. Therefore, that decision of 2001 is illegal because the court did not have a quorum. They don't know that. Secondly, Article 104. Article 104 provides that if there is a presidential petition, the judges of the Supreme Court shall inquire into it, not here, inquire into it, and then give findings, not judgment, finding. But if you read the decisions of the three courts, except that one where I was a member, 2006, all of them say, we heard the petition and gave our judgment. Absolutely unconstitutional. So all decisions we have had on petitioning the president are all illegal. They are wrong because they do not deal as the Constitution directs. You shall inquire into the petition and give your findings. In the 2006, we all gave our findings individually. But then Chief Justice Odochi, Justice Odell, the late, also the late Karokora, Justice the late Mulenga, and the former Chief Justice, now retired, Bata Katurebe. We all give unanimous findings that the election was rigged, that it had been interfered with by the security forces, that all the laws applicable, that is, the Electoral Commission Act, the Presidential Election Act, had all been violated. Then I went at length in my findings to distinguish between hearing and judgment and an inquiry in a petition and the findings of judges in it. It is clearly in my findings if you read the 2006. But professors of law, students of law, when they come there and they say Kanyeihamba was on the panel, they ignore reading what I said. Only those who supported President Museveni as the winner are read and are taught in our universities. This is criminal in my opinion. In academia, you should learn everything, good or bad, against the government. But it seems that all of them were told you only read those who supported the President Museveni. Any other is not acceptable. Where do you find that in the whole world? In the UK, there was a dissenting judge who also taught to me. He was called Lord Denning. He's famous internationally. And he was saying us, say everything if you are a judge or a scholar, even if you are going to be condemned and go to jail. Truth is more important than anything else. Now I come to our case here. So eventually we scheduled on the 8th of June this year. Then the registrar said, I am going to consult judges, 5 of them, who of course are impaneled by the Deputy Chief Justice, who today is Richard Butera. So they must have all consulted together. Butera had seen me earlier. I actually took small grandchildren. He gave them soda and he was very pleased to see us. And he said, I guarantee this case will be heard after Christmas as soon as possible. I believed him. So the registrar I called him, when is our case filed for hearing? Because the deputy judge, the deputy chief justice guaranteed that it will be heard shortly after Christmas. We are now, you can even ask his own service leader who is in Court of Appeal. She came here and served me personally. Personally here, my family can tell you. He said, these are papers showing that we are being summoned on the, what was it? Of 12th of June to appear with your colleagues and defend your petition in the case of the Attorney General, Mr. Museveni, and the NRM for threatening to violate. Threatening is the word. Threatening to violate the right to apply for bail. Then we received the summary. I informed my colleagues, he's here, he can confirm of that one. And we got ready. When I called our lawyers who were supposed to represent us, to tell them that the case is fixed on the 24th of June, their phones became defective, so nobody answered. Just as I had called the mayor to come here today and listen to this conversation, but he has not come because he's doing something else, I'm sure. Then, to my utter surprise and shock, some young person called me. They didn't identify themselves. They said, your petition against President Museveni, the Attorney General, has been adjourned indefinitely. Those words went through my body like cold water. So you can ask my people. I went there. Personally, I went to the Court of Appeal, which doubles as Constitutional Court, to inquire what has happened. I asked first, I want to see the Deputy Chief Justice, Butera. He said he's presiding over a hearing in another building. I said, don't worry, I'll wait. Send him a note saying that when he finishes, Professor Kanyeihamba is here and he would like to have a word with him. Then I went, they pushed me, went to the registrar's office. I said, can I see the registrar? He said, no. You can't come in because he's presiding over a hearing by lawyers who want to bring a case against you, or rather wants to bring a case against other people. So I said, don't worry, I'm waiting for both the Deputy Chief Justice and the registrar, but when he comes, tell him that I want to see him. So I waited. I sat there for almost an hour. I was still waiting.
Senior citizen Justice Kanyeihamba ne foundation yonna eya Kanyeihamba Foundation olw'okulemberamu olutalo luno olw'okutaasa ssemateeka naddala ku nsonga enkulu ekwata ku ddembe ly'obuntu eya bail. Mumulaba yalibadde ng'awummudde ali mu retirement era abannyonnyodde bulungi nti emyaka gy'alina 82 ng'asingako ku mwami Tibwabulwa emyaka 2 kusinziira ku Boniface kye yamugamba, naye ng'akyali muvumu okulaba ng'agenda mu maaso n'olutalo. So si kuba nti anoonya bibye ng'omuntu, naye anoonya okutaasa eggwanga lye, era kivudde tuwulira ng'oluyimba lw'eggwanga aluddiŋŋana ng'abagamba akulukusana maziga okulaba nti mwami Yoweri Kaguta Museveni akola ebintu ebisaanyaawo ssemateeka n'okuteeka eggwanga lino mu kaseera ak'akatyabaga. Ebitongole ekiramuzi nga kiri mu kusoomoozebwa kw'amaanyi nti Justice Kanyeihamba kye yakola kye kiteekeddwa okukolebwa omuntu yenna alumirirwa eggwanga lye najja mu kkooti, naye omusango ne guddibwawo ne baguzza wano ne bagira bati n'abawaabirwa nga tebagufuddeeko ng'ekintu ekikulu, kubanga mwami Yoweri Museveni Attorney General bo beesuuliddeyo gwa nagamba ku nsonga eno. Ng'ekitongole ekiramuzi, abalamuzi naddala registrar fixing emisango n'abalala bali badde bakitwala nti kikulu okulaba nti omusango guno ogugenda ku kinyusi kya ssemateeka ku right to bail guwulirwa mangu ddala nga bwe kisoboka. Naye ne bazzaawo jojuzi bongerayo ng'eno bannayuganda bongera okubonaabona, kubanga the right to bail gyayogerako eri under threat. Kati wetwogerera abalamuzi bonna abasinga obungi balina mu kutya okuva mwami Yoweri Museveni lwe yagamba nti ye ayagala kugyawo ekigambo kya bail, bali mu kutya. Ndowooza nammwe mubiraba ebigenda mu maaso. Olunaku luli mwalaba Dr. Kizza Besigye bwe yajja mu kkooti n'omugamba sasula obukadde 30 million nga kitegeeza nti bail baba nga abagikumye. Era bw'ogamba munnayuganda mu bbeeyi y'ebintu eyeekalamye n'eggwanga erifaanana bwe riti eriri mu depression sasula million 3 oba nga mumye bail. Tebaakoma ku ekyo ne bagamba nti kale bakisizza zifuuse million 3, naye ne million 3 ku case eya incitement to violence nga singa omuntu omusango guba gumusinze bamugamba nti sasula fine ya million 1.2 then omugamba depositinga cash bail million 3. Kati byatuuse jjo mwabirabye nga bagamba nti gwe Dr. Besigye basusse okuleeta wano mu kkooti tuli wali wano ne leero okomyewo kati bail tugikumye kubanga era ne bw'onoddeyo ebweru ojja kukomawo. Honorable Sejjirinya ne Honorable Sewanyana babasasuza million 2 buli omu ku bail, naye ne bamaliriza nga tebabatadde nga bazemu babakutte naye nga tebabatadde. Okuva olwo abalamuzi ba High Court e Masaka bonna baagana okuddamu applications oziwulira, kubanga wateekebwayo bail applications endala bonna ne batya okuziwulira. Bagamba tutya ensonga ya mwami Museveni bail yagigaana ye Attorney General naye nga abatiisatiisa ba mwoyo gwa ggwanga mwenna abali eyo nti olaba mukadde waffe ye eyali badde mu retirement wano nga yeewummulidde asitukiramu n'agamba nti nedda kino tetuyinza kukikkiriza kubeerawo. Gwate yali eyo oli kuki? Buli omu yali badde alina kyakola okulaba nti embeera eno togikwatako. Kisembayo kyatusabye nakyo kikulu ekyoga nti bannange tudiscussing succession, okummula kwa mwami Yoweri Museveni ava atya mu ntebe eggwanga lisobole okutambula. Ensonga eyo nkulu nnyo nnyini ddala, kubanga eggwanga eritaliimu orderly succession to power oba okukyusa obukulembeze emirembe ekiddirira mu abavubuka abali eyo mwe mugenda okusinga okubonaabona, kubanga abagamba a future yammwe. Embeera eno egenda mu maaso bwefaanana bweti nga mwami Yoweri Museveni ategeka succession agenda mu kifo kya transition, oga nti eggwanga likyuke lidde mu mikono egya demokrasiya ali ku ssemateeka obulungi, naye kati ye yeefunyiridde kulemera mu ntebe bw'amaliriza olaba ateekateeka mutabani we. Bya bulabe ebyo bijja kusaanyaawo eggwanga lyaffe. So twebaza Justice Kanyeihamba olw'omulimu gwakoze era obuwagizi bwonna obusoboka buli omu aveeyo tubumuwe tubeerewo ne ku lunaku olw'24 mu kooti ffenna tuggweeyo tubeerewo wali okulaba nti ensonga zatadde mu kooti ziwulirwa kubanga zikwata ku buli munnayuganda zikwata ku ssemateeka na stability y'eggwanga lino. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala.
Webale nnyo mukulu waffe, mukulu wa Kampala, meeya, ate tebakuteeka mu buteesi, abantu bonna bakulonda. Ate abo abasemba enfuga embi eya Museveni bebaayo nga bakuwakanisa bonna. Kimanyi nze sinaabeerawo naye nkimanyi kyabeerawo. Ekyokubiri nyagala muleba omuwala wano atuyigiriza ngu tebasoma naye kyabantu bebabawa baboogere beboogera. Yandimanyi nti naatera ebaluwa nkakanisa Karagwa wakanisa Karagwa nti nja kutwala mu kooti. Ekyo takimanyi naye bwe bamugamba genda olinde Kanyamba kyekyo kyawulira kyokka. Ensi yaffe yinoono Katonda wange. Yasoose n'agamba nti sinaali mu kooti naye bagamba nti naawe tewaaliwo. Oyinza kubuuza omumyufu wa Chief Justice Richard Abutera mukwano gwange yaja kukubula nti yabeerawo nti gwe muwala olimba. Lwaki mwogera ebintu nga temukola research? Ba reporters bagamba mukole research. Ekyokubiri meeya agambye nti we mwagala mugendeko ku kooti ebiro 24 by'omwezi ogujja kubanga abo baali nga bafikisa nankanoyo. Nja kubeerayo ebiro 24 nja kubisikanayo na meeya n'abantu abalala. Naye nkugambye abalamuzi bagambye nti ffe tutya Kanyeihamba omuntu mukambwe omusango tuguyimirize indefinitely. Mu mateeka bagamba signed. Nyabu ebyo tobiwulira. Kyoyagala ng'abantu bamanye bagambye nti na Kanyeihamba teyazayo mu kooti. Ate bisuwa is lies. One of the reasons I'm fighting against the NRM is that they indulge in lies. And sometimes President Museveni doesn't believe them. Let me give you an example. The Attorney General of Uganda, Chiwanuka, advised the Ministry of Finance that the coffee deal is excellent. NRM MP Namskal said Uganda has never had a better deal than the coffee deal. You remember? Do you remember? That's what he said. President Museveni did not agree with the advice of the Attorney General. Instead, he agreed that a committee should be set up. I'm not referring to any book. You are fighting with Kanyeihamba. Justice, rather, Professor Oroka has written that Kanyeihamba is a walking legal dictionary. That this young man, this young lady is young. She's never had it. Read it. When you are about to leave here, I'll tell my fellow petitioner to give you a copy. So you read it. Read what Museveni said about me, praising me. Read what Janet Museveni, who is among the women I say I have loved. Why do you think Museveni has not put me in jail, having said publicly that among those I have loved is Janet Museveni? I have a letter, I can show it to you, from Janet Museveni, personally writing to me that I am her real friend. Others just flatter her by calling her First Lady. They never called her Honorable Minister. They say First Lady. They only recognize me by my skirts. We never thought about it. I have the data. I have written in my book that Museveni challenged that Why do people call my wife First Lady? Because it's an American term. And I have warned the Ugandans, don't copy or ape foreign terms. You think you are humoring Janet Museveni, honorable. I can show you that later. It's in one of my books that she thanked me for recognizing her talents, because those who call her first leader, they only recognize her as the bed warmer of the president. We have very few Ugandans who think seriously because of money and fear. It is absurd, and it is sadder to me. As far as I'm concerned, President Museveni is a good man. But look at his advisors. You young lady! Don't talk to others when you are listening to words of wisdom. What brought you here? To talk to that man behind you when I am addressing you? It's disgraceful. That is a typical supporters of the NRM. And it is bad as it can be. Let me tell you, President Museveni is among those. They have written a book called rather appreciating the talents of George Kanyeihamba. The writers in this book include the late Olanya, who presided over the book, Museveni, Wakan Lugunda, Janet. Janet, I have her number, her ceremony here. If you want to see it, I'll show it to you. Saying, Professor Kanyeihamba, thank you very much. You are a real friend. She's a brave woman. Occasionally she's wrong, especially in education. But I admire her courage. Not wives of presidents in the whole world would thank a retired judge and say, thank you, I am really your friend. Young lady, remember that. Not remember the stupid messages wrong people give you. I love you because you could be my granddaughter. You are a beautiful girl, but you are in the bad trade, trading the lies of the NRA. It will never get you anywhere, I tell you. Having said that, why don't you go now? Because you are a brave girl. Hello. Why don't you go to the Court of Appeal and say, why did you adjourn indefinitely Kanyeihamba and the 6 others petition challenging the fear, rather the threat to bail? Then read Article 50 of the Constitution. 50. It doesn't say violate. We are not challenging the government and those for violating any rights. We are challenging them for threatening to violate. And that is precisely the wording in Article 50 of the Constitution. And I don't want to embarrass you. But when you came here with your message, you hadn't read Article 50. Read it first, please. Read Article 104, where it directs the court of the Constitution of the Supreme Court to inquire into and give findings. Where did they get the words here and they give judgment? Those are their own words. In fear of the movement. Yeah. You go and tell them that. I seem to agree with Professor Oroka Onyango